Hello. So for this week, I'm looking at Module 7 online learning assignments. So for this week, what I did is I created a Google Classroom for a mentorship class that I'm currently working on. Just going through a little bit, kind of getting the structure down of it. It's pretty user friendly as far as putting stuff in. However, probably really just scratch the surface as far as looking at what Google applications you can drop in there as far as like documents and stuff like that. Pretty minimal stuff I did as far as like allowing for discussion posts. Some of you have due dates. There's one even attachment to fill out your description of these vocabulary words and things like that. Pretty simple, not too complex, but very user friendly. Very easy to figure out how the application works as far as how you're going to input new things into it. And really a lot of just potential there if you have the time and energy to dump into it and really learn that system and Google what it can do. So as far as the rest of the reflection, as far as do I think it's appropriate for students to complete online learning prior to uh, and what parameters should be in place. So I do think it's a great resource. I think honestly, as you uh, go through the maturity level of students, so like kindergarten being the beginning and high schoolers, seniors being the high end of it, would be you have to look at what type of safety, securities, precautions you put in place, just because of what a younger kid will wander into and not knowing, as opposed to an older kid will wander into knowing or not at times. You just got to really look at the safety precautions like that. A lot of what I've seen through working with my kids and online learning is also having some balance and checks as far as like how much access they have, how much availability to it they have, time restrictions. I've done work where I've tutored in classrooms where they pretty much have no restrictions on the internet, and they're kind of curious why they couldn't keep a kid's attention when they're competing with the internet. And it's really pretty simple to me, but there's no parameters set up. There's no real way to do that. So what I would think would be probably the best thing to do would be to look at what application you use in their offline status, as far as like Word documents, stuff like that, or even Google has a lot of availability as far as offline, and just looking at only giving them internet access for when they actually need to submit things or do research, and then really look at when you're giving them access to the internet and things like that, as opposed to just blindly giving them access and then trying to rein them back in. It's just not going to work out very well in my mind. Do I think every state should require students to complete an online course prior to high school graduation? Why or why not? So I would think it's definitely very beneficial. Uh, my big call out to that would be the every state and every student. There's always some type of level of circumstances out there where it prohibits people from kind of meeting what's out there. What I've seen is when there's a blanket statement or a blanket regulation as far as everyone, people will go above and beyond to make sure it happens. And usually through that, there's a giant misservice done to the people who actually need it. So I wouldn't say everybody. I would think it's probably a very unique process. Maybe having like an AP or advanced placement class or a college prep class with how much online is going on, as far as like going in through the nitty gritty of what they're looking at, or even not. A lot of universities or schools nowadays have an actual intro to their university where they require them to go through an online portion of just a simple class, which is like 2 credit hours, to see how their platform works. Describe what experience I have working with this. Which systems would I choose? Why? What did you like, dislike about the systems? How could you use them for a future education? Educationer. So for me, a lot of maybe it's just Fort Hayes specifically. I've had a lot of instructors who are really geared towards Google. It's accessibility, it's availability, it's very user friendly as far as like how it's rolled out that platform, allowing Chromebooks and netbooks to interface well with it. It has very limited restrictions as far as like what equipment allow you to use. It's mainly built on what you can access online and how you can set it up through. I mean, pretty much if your computer can handle Google Chrome, then you can handle Google in its best and its worst online platforms. And then again, it's very user friendly, so like that. And from research I did, they're very easy to roll out a platform for a school. There's also different initiatives to get a cost reduced as far as like the educational basis you're looking at for demographics. As far as a cost, it's like 50% less. It's looked like, or zero for some qualifying students as far as income and stuff like that. So with all the growing financial strains on education, that's just definitely a big win. It also looked like it was set up to a reoccurring payment, so it's not like a big investment now and a big investment in 10 years. It's kind of a smaller investment now. However, that's kind of troublesome at times to basically keep that in the budget every year and say, hey, this is our technology and this is what we're going to pay for it. So that's basically what I saw of it. I think educationally wise, as long as the teachers embrace it and learn it, like that's really where the limitations or advancement applications come in. It's kind of in their wheelhouse. I think it's really nice. It allows you to save work and come back to it. You can even look at it as being able to submit lesson plans to an administrator, or come back and reusing different templates and things like that, or to modify, say you're a history teacher or a government teacher and current events have changed, so you have the same format, but you can input new news results or stuff like that as far as like current up-to-date information to what is applicable to your students. So that's what I thought of it. Actually, overall, I thought it was really good. Actually, probably play around with it a lot more, just on my professional side and just getting ready for education. All right, have a good day.